What's up, everybody? So 2 days ago, the first DLC for Wo Long Final Dynasty dropped, and I played it through and I have mixed feelings about it. So today I wanted to give an honest and brutal review of Wo Long's first DLC. So first, let's talk about the story. This is called the Battle of Zongyuan, and the plot is basically that the Yellow Turban Army is rising up once again, and you must repel them with Cao Cao. So you will meet a new ally that is wielding dual halberds. His name is Dian Wei, and he will be your ally throughout the mission. The story is nothing special. I feel like Neo and Wo Long are kind of limiting themselves by trying to recreate real events with mythical twists, but it is what it is. Now let's talk about the missions. There is 3 or 4 main missions alongside several smaller missions, and they are quite forgettable. There's not much new. The environments are basically the same, except now it's in the mountains. And that's a big issue that I have with Wo Long and the Neo series, is that the environment looks like nothing special. For example, when you're playing Dark Souls 3 and you go into the painted world of Ariandel or the Ring City especially, you can see that these environments are totally different than what you've played in the regular portion of the game. In this case, it's just, a burning city or, a battlefield. There is nothing special here, but it is what it is. We'll move on to the combat that they changed. So they added one weapon, which is a cestus, and they also added other martial arts to existing weapon types. Now, I didn't use the cestus much. It wasn't fitting my build, so I just stayed with my saber. But the cestus does have an interesting moveset if that's something that fits with your build. You see a lot of kung fu, punching, kicking, so it is interesting. It is a good addition. Now, when it comes to the enemy types, this is where I was hoping for more, because Wo Long has a certain issue with not having that much enemy variety. In this case, they only added 2 enemies. So there is this eel serpent thing that crawls from under the ground. One of the boss is actually a larger version of this demon. And there's also a weird dog frog thing that is pretty ugly looking. And that's it. Just 2 new enemies when it comes to regular enemies. Then again, there's also more DLCs coming, but I was hoping for more. Also, they added great shields to the regular enemies, so they'll be carrying this huge stone shield and they have a lot of poise, so that's another small addition. Now, when it comes to the bosses, the first boss is actually a humanoid enemy with a hammer, nothing special. And then the second boss is the big eel. The third boss is actually a reskin of another boss that you fight in the main game, the General of Heaven. So I was disappointed that we're in a DLC, everything's supposed to be fresh, and here we have a reskinned boss. However, the final boss of the DLC is probably where most of the development went. The final boss of the DLC is extremely well designed. He is extremely difficult. It took me over 2 hours to beat him, and I was at a decent level. I was not under leveled whatsoever. Maybe I was a little bit rusty and my reflexes weren't on point, but that was an extremely difficult fight and very, very rewarding once you finally beat him. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for the DLC. I mean, it's more of the same. If you wanted more Wo Long, well, here it is. And the price point is pretty good because the season pass gives you access to 3 DLCs and the price is around 23 bucks. So it's pretty fair for the amount of content you're getting. If you were to do every single piece of content in this DLC without dying once, it could take you anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours. But if you add all the time that you'll spend dying, especially to the final boss, you're probably looking at 4 to 5 hours. Now, one thing that's really good that they implemented is the level synchronization. And what that means is that even if you come into the DLC overpowered or overleveled at around 130, it will nerf your damage down so that it can match the ones of the opponents. And that's really good because what it means is that if you've been playing for a long time and you are in New Game Plus, if you go back to this DLC, you will not be ridiculously overpowered. So you will be able to fight it and still have a decent challenge. So in conclusion, I think this DLC is more of the same, nothing special. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel, but it is an additional piece of content that is valuable to the game. So I give it a 7 out of 10. Anyways, thanks for watching everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about the DLC in the comment section, and I'll see you guys on the next video.